So there are many different things that we can do for your feet. This video in particular is about warming your feet up and getting them ready to take you on a walk. So you'll need bare feet, you'll need a stretchy lightweight band, and either a block or a book, just something that you can place your foot on that gives us space for our toes. Once you've got those, come back to sit on your chair and maybe just notice how your feet feel today. You can close your eyes for a moment and feel what's in contact with the floor, what isn't. It's great if you've got some space to have a little walk around, feel free to do that and notice how your feet feel. And then when you do come back to sit, have a glance at your feet and maybe the colour, maybe the veins, and just how they're feeling today. So you want to make sure that you're comfortable in doing this, but take one foot. You can always cross the ankle across the opposite knee. We're going to try interlacing your fingers between the toes. So this might take you a moment. You don't want to force them in there, jam them in there, but see if you can thread the fingers between the toes. So my index finger at the moment is between the big toe and the second toe. My little finger is between my little toe and the forked toe. And if you can get knuckle to knuckle, amazing. Maybe not at first. Always push the toes in with the other hand. See if you can create some space in there. And then making sure that you're sat comfortably, mind that you don't compromise what's going on with the shoulders as we do this. You're just gently circling that ankle joint. Maybe there's a few clicks and clunks to come out of there. And then circle it back the other way. Easing that movement into the ankle joint. So because we've got the fingers between the toes, it's not just the ankle joint, but you get space between all the joints in the foot. And then you can take that foot into a point. So I'm pulling my hand down to open the space through the front of the foot, front of the ankle. And I'm slightly pressing the arches of the feet up. So maybe for you, there's a stretch through the top of the foot. And then we can roll the toes up and bring the ball of the foot up to flex through the ankle joint. So if I lift, I'm going this way to flex and this way to point. Yeah. So you're drawing the toes up almost towards your shin. You can push the shin downwards and that will get you more flexion at dorsiflexion at the ankle joint. And then pull the toes down. If you go into that point, you're never forcing this, of course, but just easing into that stretch through the top of the foot. And then pull the toes up and go into your dorsiflexion. Pointing. And then flexing. And then this is where it gets a little bit confusing. So your hand is going to squeeze your foot. So your hand squeezes the foot. And then relax that. The hand squeezes the foot. And then the foot's going to squeeze your hand. You maybe see the arches of your foot lifting. The foot squeezes your hand. And just one more time, foot into the hand. And then unlace the fingers. But now here, try taking your thumb between the big toe and the second toe. And then interlace the fingers from there. This gets a little bit trickier. It's a slightly different angle. It's also a slightly different width with the fingers. So go easy if it's really intense. And then circle the ankle joint. Reverse that circle. And then go back to the foot, squeezing the hand. And the hand squeezing the foot. The foot squeezing the hand. And the hand squeezing the foot. And then again, release that thread. Place both feet down. Maybe glance at the difference in the colour of your feet. And then come up to stand or have a little walk around and see how your feet feel there. Come back. We'll do the same the other side. So you're threading, sorry, not threading, crossing the leg over, and we're going index finger between the big toe and second toe, and then thread your fingers from there. This side's a lot easier for me. You might have to play around, you might have to kind of pull the toes into the fingers into the toes, and you are trying to get knuckle to knuckle, but it might not happen first time. And then once you're in, you're circling the ankle joint. You reverse the circle. And then you're putting the toes down to take them into a point, and then flexing them up to go into your dorsiflexion. Down into your point and up. Mind as you come down into your point that you're not twisting the foot. Try and make sure that your shin bone comes down and in alignment with the rest of the foot. It's not twisting like this. And you're flexing. Pointing. And flexing. And then unlace those. Oh, we can do the squeezing. I knew there was something. So do the squeezing. So your hand squeezes your foot. Your hand squeezes your foot. And then your foot squeezes your hand. The foot squeezes the hand. One more time. And then release that thread of the fingers. Take the thumb between the big toe and the second toe, and then carry on threading from there. So your ring finger should end up between the little toe and the fourth toe. Now this one's much harder this side for me. Seeing again if you can get knuckle to knuckle, but don't force it. You can do a few circles once you're in there. Circle back the other way. And then pointing the toes. And then flexing. Pointing. And flexing. And then go back to the hand squeezing the foot. The foot squeezing the hand. I went the wrong way around. It is confusing. But one squeezes, the other relaxes. Foot into the hand. Hand into the foot. And then again, unthread those fingers, place both feet on the floor. And again, glance down at the colour of your feet. Quite chilly today, so my left one is actually now more purple than my right, because I've had my hand on my right foot. And then again, stand or go for a little walk and see how that feels. When you've done that, come back and have your block or your book, whatever you've got. And you're going to place your foot onto the block with your toes hanging off the front. And then with that band, hook the band underneath the big toe. So you've got the big toe knuckle, so like the biggest knuckle, and then you've got one down. And you want to mind on this one down that this is, that bone between the two knuckles is what we're moving. It's not the very tip of your toe. You're focusing on what really is the long bone of your big toe. So I've got my band underneath here, and I'm going to bring the ends of the band up. I'm going to sit tall, and I am actually sat a little bit low on the box. But if you've got a chair, you'll find that you are a bit higher anyway. So now here, I'm pressing the big toe down, but I'm not, hopefully you can see, I'm not bending the toe. We keep it long as you press it down. So it's kind of arcing forwards and down over that block. It goes forwards to come down. And the other toes may get involved at first. The more you do it, the more control that you've got over the toes, of course. But as you're doing it, what we're trying to get with this is the big toe goes down, but the arch of your foot will lift up. So you might not necessarily see it. Maybe you do, I can on mine. I can certainly feel it really lifting. And if you're doing it from the tip of the toe, say, the toe's going to bend and then that's just your toe. Whereas if you can get that long bone of your big toe in the movement, you're going to feel a lot more connection, maybe even connection up through the inner thigh and into the pelvic floor. So we're just pressing that big toe down towards the ground, working the big toenail floor, working the arches of your feet. And my foot's actually already getting a little bit tired. But I can really feel the muscles in the arch of my foot lifting, and I can feel that right up through the inner thigh. So when you've done that size, take the band away, have a little move around the space that you've got, have a little walk. If you haven't got space, fine, you'll get it in a moment, hopefully, if you're going for a walk. And then we're going to switch sides. So sliding your block across to the other side, taking that band underneath the big toe. Once again, you're focusing on the long bone of your big toe, not the shorter tip of the toe. Again, sit yourself tall and then try pressing that toe towards the ground. So you're not bending, you're lengthening that toe over the block. I feel my what's my left foot trying to get involved too now that it's woken up. And as you press the big toe down, the inner arch is lifting up. You might even feel something going on through the inner thigh. And you know, sometimes not first, but the more you do it, the more you refine it. So, you know, are you sat tall on your sit bones, or are you slumping here? If you're slumping, it's going to do nothing. So you've got to be sat tall. You've got to feel all 5 toe knuckles connecting with the block, and then that big toe comes down. And actually my other 4 toes don't get so involved this side. Maybe it's vice versa for you. Let's see what it's doing. And it feels a bit stronger this side. It's not having to, it's working, but it's not tiring so quickly. Good. And then unhip the band. Again, maybe go for that little walk around the space that you've got, or see how that feels today.